From trying to make it big in Hollywood to co-starring in a hit Netflix series, Madelyn Cline's role as Sarah Cameron changed her life and ours. There are so many great moments on Outer Banks, but the kook princess stole our hearts in her very first scene. In theory, Sarah Cameron sounds like the kind of girl who's the antagonist in a teen drama. Her father's a businessman, so she's insanely rich. Obviously, she lives on the bougie side of town with all the people who look down on the lower class. And she's popular in all circles. To top it all off, she always looks good, even when she's been in the same clothes and hasn't showered for days. She looks like she just stepped out of the ocean, suntan to perfection. Sure, she sounds like your average Regina George, only she's not. Sarah Cameron is the opposite of a mean popular rich girl. She doesn't look at the kids from the Outer Banks the way other kooks do. Instead, she tries her best to use her social standing to influence the other rich kids to accept the Pogues. The more she hangs out with the Pogues, the more she starts to dislike the kooks. But since she's been one herself since she was born, it makes her question her entire existence.
A truck outside.
Here, take some tea.
There's a body back there. We need to turn him in.
We're gonna get to the bottom of it, okay?
Will you help me call?
I will help you. Here, drink some tea.
Eventually, she does become a permanent part of the Pogues. It doesn't come easy though. Leaving Figure 8 was far more complicated than you might think. For starters, her dad was extremely protective of her, and the last thing he wanted to happen was for her to end up with a bunch of Pogues. Unfortunately for him, that's exactly what happened. But that didn't mean he'd let go easily. He did everything, from threatening her friends to locking her in her room. At one point in time, when things went horribly south, he even choked her. Now, you have to understand the severity of this situation. Sarah was Ward's first daughter and the apple of his eye. She didn't turn out the way he wanted her to or expected her to, and that made him angry, all right. But what really sent him over the edge was the fact that she changed loyalties. He's the only one to blame for that, though. She suffered for a long time after letting go of her family, and it took her an even longer time to accept that she couldn't forgive her dad. She respected him despite everything he did to her, but she had to swallow a hard pill after being choked by her father. This entire experience might sound very depressing, and it was. But it was also an eye-opening experience. It taught her that families aren't just made by blood, they can be formed too, and that the families you form by choice are far better. The Sarah Cameron we saw in season 1 was confused, scared, and innocent. She grew into a much more confident, mature, and bold version of herself. The best part is that she never lost that sweet girlishness she had in the first season. That was the it factor, which had boys fighting over her. The show begins with her in a relationship with Topper, a rich, popular kook from her school. Once Sarah starts exploring the Pogue-like tendencies in her, she begins to drift away from her white supremacist upbringing in search of adventure and thrill. Her relationship with Topper suffers as well, because although Topper is head over heels for her, he's still a part of the kooks, and being with him makes her question her beliefs. Even though Sarah and Topper have a genuine connection and genuinely care for each other, it doesn't top what she has with John B. When she meets the embodiment of all the things her part of town hates, she changes instantly. But it's not a spontaneous change. John B just brings out something that had been dormant in her for years, and they work together to uncover the secrets of the Outer Banks. And it's during this journey that they go from enemies to friends to lovers. The pull was always there. They just needed time to realize it. Eventually, her feelings for John B outweigh her feelings for Topper, and she has to let him down. But as is with all dramas, nothing can be smooth for long.
It's gonna have a chicken on it with a coconut bra, smoking a J, and Crocs.
I could use a J. Can we vote on this?
Shall we get to work? Let's get to work and start working on provisions.
Okay.
Set up shop.
Later in the show, Sarah's relationship with John B is put to the test when he's presumed dead. In his absence, she reconnects with Topper, but ultimately decides that what she feels for John B can't be challenged. Thankfully, John B returns and their relationship is rekindled. They even get married. In between all the other crazy and dangerous situations they go through together, dying and coming back to life is just the beginning of these. Outer Banks rose to fame on Netflix because of its binge-worthy storylines and exciting scenes. Once you start the show, you can't stop till it ends. Each episode leaves you on an unimaginable cliffhanger, and it leaves you desperate for more. Plus, you get so attached to the characters that you can't bear to go without knowing if they're okay. A lot of such worries have been directed towards Sarah herself. She's been at the front and center of most of the gang's crazy and dangerous plans. One of the most memorable action sequences involved her and John B. as they're chased by the police after they're accused of theft. The two find themselves on a high-speed boat chase through the waters of the Outer Banks, dodging obstacles and narrowly avoiding capture at every turn. The sequence is filled with heart-pumping moments and showcases Sarah's quick thinking and ability to stay calm under pressure.
If not, bye-bye. Easy, girlie. Slowly.
Sarah finds herself in many other dangerous situations too. She gets kidnapped by a group of criminals, threatened by corrupt police officers, and nearly killed in a booby-trapped treasure hunt. She and John B. even end up stranded on the ocean as they run away from Outer Banks. The finale of season 2 itself was enough to give you a heart attack, and through all of it, Madelyn Cline's given a great performance. That's because her method relies on gauging her characters empathetically. She tries to understand them as a person.
But they were, they've always been very, very supportive. I think they were very terrified, though, because I didn't really have any other backup plan. And it was kind of like, you know, that moment in Almost Famous where...
And by relating to them, she's able to become them. In season 3, Sarah made some pretty questionable choices, and they even made Cline scared for her character when she got to read the script. But the actress picked up on a few valuable lessons while she worked on Glass Onion. She'd absorbed all the knowledge she could get from actors like Ed Norton to Kathryn Hahn. Their methods taught her to be bolder and freer with her expression, and also to be unapologetic and wanting to be better. She stopped being hesitant when it came to redoing takes. Ever since working on Glass Onion, she's learned how to embrace all of life, be it good or bad, because each part of it is just as important. She knows now that putting so much pressure on herself won't amount to much, so it's best to do your own thing until it's the best you can be. It comes as no surprise that Cline's a fan favorite for OBX watchers. Even though Sarah Cameron started out as a sort of enemy to the Pogues, the fans fell in love with her just as fast as John B. did. He was, after all, narrating the show. What made Sarah stand out was her love-struck and adventurous personality. She was the sweetest person ever, but super capable. And of course, Cline's natural beauty added to Sarah's character. Despite some of her bad choices and mistakes, fans relate to her and sympathize with her. And that's all on Madelyn Cline's best moments on Outer Banks.